employees and productive. They're affected too.
Good evening and welcome to our Glendale City Council meeting. If you would like to comment on any item that's on the agenda, please fill out a gold speaker card and hand it to the police officer in the back of the room. The mayor will call your name, and when it's your turn to speak, you can make your way to the podium. All speakers have 3 minutes. If you would like to talk about a topic that's not on the agenda, please complete a blue speaker card and give it to the officer in the back of the room. Items that are not on the agenda are heard at the end of the voting meeting. Glendale has 7 city council members: Mayor Jerry Wires, Vice Mayor Ian Hugh of the Cactus District, Councilmember Joyce Clark of the Yucca District, Councilmember Leandro Baldenegro of the Ocotillo District, Councilmember Bart Turner of the Barrow District, Councilmember Ray Malnar of the Saguaro District, and Councilmember Lauren Tolmachoff of the Choya District. This meeting is streaming live on Glendale's Facebook and YouTube pages and the city's cable television station, Glendale Channel 11. Thank you for joining us.
Okay, good evening. Welcome to Glendale City Council our regular council meeting, January 14, 2025. This meeting is called to order. Roll call. Mr. Melner, are you on the phone?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so we have Councilmember Melner on the phone and everyone else is present, so I will not be calling roll call, if you'll take note of that. If everyone would please stand for our Pledge of Allegiance. We also have an invocation. If it's appropriate, if you're a man, if it's appropriate to remove your hat, please do. If not, then do what you think is best. We're going to have the invocation. I'm probably going to butcher his name up. I'm going to do the best I can, so please forgive me if I pronounce it wrong. Saeed Mohi Ul Haq Masad Jid Kofar.
Yes, sir. Perfect.
Really?
Yes.
I couldn't do that 3 times in a row.
I know.
Okay. So if everyone please, he's going to give our prayer, and then immediately after that, we'll do our Pledge of Allegiance if you'll remain standing. Sure, go ahead.
Honorable Mayor and City Council members, it is my pleasure to lead the invocation for the City Council meeting today. We begin by the beautiful names of our God. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. It translates as, in the name of Allah, the most compassionate, the most merciful. O Allah, the God Almighty, please bestow upon us your mercy, guidance, and blessings. Please bless the city mayor, council members, city staff, and others who are sincerely serving the city of Glendale. Guide us to serve our community with peace, love, equality, liberty, dignity, and what's best in everything. We pray for peace in our city, neighboring communities, state, nation, and the world. Help us get along well with each other with patience and understanding. Help us understand and respect each other's thoughts and opinions. Help us to be generous towards our and needs for others. O God, we understand that every word spoken and every decision made here may have lasting effects to many. We pray for abundance of leadership, wisdom, integrity, clarity of speech and thoughts, inspiration and problem solving for general welfare of Glendale, its citizens, businesses, and everyone involved. Peace be upon those who follow the right guidance. Amen. Thank you.
Amen. Thank you. Will you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to our flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And thank you.
Thank you.
Have your seats. Okay, with that said, I'm going to go to our attorney quickly, and then we'll go ahead and get on with our regular meeting. Mr. Bailey.
Yeah, Mayor, Council, per the direction provided at the work session this afternoon, item 34 is not going to be considered, and we'd ask to be removed from the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you. Item 34. Okay, with that said, next on the agenda is the consideration of the minutes from the December 10, 2024 voting meeting, the December 10, 24 special council meeting, installation ceremony, and the December 10 special voting meeting. Council members, do you have any corrections or additions to any of the minutes? Hearing none, can I get a motion to approve December 10, 2024 voting meeting, December 10, 2024 special council meeting, and installation ceremony, and the December 10 special voting meeting minutes?
Mayor, I move to approve the minutes of December 10th, 2024 voting meeting, the December 10th, 2024 special council meeting with installation ceremony, and the December 10th, 2024 special voting meeting.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Baldinegro, a second from the Vice Mayor to approve the minutes. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any nays, say nay. We all have supported ayes, so the motion carries. Boards, commissions, and other bodies, recommend appointments to boards, commissions, and other bodies. We're now going to do just that. Vice Mayor Tomanchoff, do you have any nominations to offer for boards, commissions,
Yes,
and other bodies?
I move we make the following appointments to the Arts Commission with a term ending January 31st, 2027. Anne Marie Cheney, Elizabeth Medina, Lisbeth Faria, and James Smith. And James Smith with a term as chair expiring January 31st, 2026. And Lancey Nenix as a term as vice chair expiring January 31st, 2026. For the Aviation Advisory Commission, all terms expiring January 31st, 2027, Brett Grove, Bud Zomock, Joshua Halslip, Michael Portnick, and Quentin Toby. For the Board of Adjustment, Benjamin Neighbor to a term expiring January 31st, 2027, and to a term as chair expiring January 31st, 2026. Donna Duggins to a term as vice chair expiring January 31st, 2026. Kevin Dang with a term expiring January 31st, 2027, and Lawrence Feiner also with a term expiring January 31st, 2027. Citizens Transportation Oversight Commission, Norma Cuevas, Tina Roberts, both to a term expiring January 31st, 2027, with Tiana Roberts, also a term of chair expiring January 31st, 2026, and Tanya Scheinman to a term as vice chair expiring January 31st, 2026. Citizens Utility Advisory Commission, Dr. Carrie Duskin, Scott Scherer, both to a term expiring January 31st, 2027, and Scott Scherer with a term as vice chair expiring January 31st, 2026, and Amber Ford to a term as chair expiring January 31st, 2026. Commission on Diverse Cultures. This is 2 pages. These terms all will expire on January 31st, 2027. Robert Escobedo, Tanner Contreras Russell, Elaine Gomez, Larry Roby, Theodora Hackenberg, Timothy Quinn, and Willow Taylor. The Industrial Development, I'm sorry, that was the Historic Preservation Commission. Thank you, Julie. Okay, the Historic Preservation Commission. I flipped the page and didn't see it. Elena Gomez, Larry Roby, Theodora Hackenberg, Timothy Quinn, and Willow Taylor, all terms expiring January 31st, 2027. Industrial Development Authority, Daryl Jackus and John Falucha, both terms expiring January 31st, 2031. Robert Holmes to a term as president expiring January 31st, 2026, and John Catledge to a term as vice president expiring January 31st, 2026. Library Advisory Board, Joanne Henning to a term expiring January 31st, 2027. These other terms, Mia Gradias, Teresa Fowler, and Megan Tosh, all with terms expiring January 31st, 2026, with Teresa Fowler as chair and Megan Tosh as vice chair. Municipal Property Corporation, Jim Brodax, Carrie Cooper, and Margaret Gibbons, all with a term expiring January 31st, 2026. Robert Schweerjohn to a term expiring January 31st, 2026. Parks and Recreation Advisory Commission, Jacqueline Yen, with the term expiring, she's the youth teen advisor, January 31st, 2026. I'm going to have to read these all separately. Let's see. Linda Pacheco Martinez and Maria Nesfield with terms expiring January 31st, 2027. Helena Johnson Bodine with a term as chair expiring January 31st, 2026, and Bud Zomak to a term as vice chair expiring January 31st, 2026. Personnel Board, Becky Shady, Francisco Contreras, Jeff Rosenberg, all with terms expiring January 31st, 2027. We're almost done. Planning Commission, Brian Hooper, Ed Nyberg, John Crow, Thomas Cole, all with terms expiring January 31st, 2027. Ed Nyberg to a term as vice chair expiring January 31st, 2026, and Vern Crow with a term as chair expiring January 31st, 2026. Public Safety Personnel Retirement Board, Brent Durham, to a term expiring January 31st, 2029 for police. City Manager Kevin Phelps to a term expiring January 31st, 2029. Risk Management Workers' Compensation Trust Fund, Kevin Grattan to a term expiring January 31st, 2028. Raymond Johnson to a term as chair expiring January 31st, 2026. And Councilmember Mulner to a term as vice chair expiring January 31st, 2026. That completes the list, Mayor.
Okay. We have a motion. Can I get a second?
Second.
Who said that? Okay. Okay, I have a motion from the Vice Mayor, second Councilmember Turner. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. Here you guys have it, do have it, that motion carries. Now, before I go any further, there's a lady standing at the door. If you have a seat open next to you, hold your hand up so she can come inside and sit down, please. All right, thank you. Okay, so if your name was called when she was reading that, and if you're here, I'm going to ask everyone to come up, please, up to the podium on this side, and then we'll go ahead and administer the oath.
Hey, Theodore. To the left.
You ready? Oh, come on. Are you ready? Yes. All right. So if you would, hold your right hand up for me. State I and then state your name. Repeat after me. Do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution and laws of the state of Arizona. That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same and defend them against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and that I will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of my office to the best of my ability, so help me God. Congratulations. Give him a hand. Give him a round, folks. All right. So if y'all will kind of come up here.
I saw 13's crossed out. No, I didn't. Okay. So I'm doing 6 to 12.
Thank you, folks. Being I'm here, I'm not going to go back to my seat back there. We're going to proclamations and awards. To to present a proclamation proclaiming the month of January as Anti-Human Trafficking Month in the city of Glendale. Accepting the proclamation is Lieutenant Elaine Singer. Where you at? I don't know, man. We're going to have to think about this. Okay. Sergeant Mark Lindsay. Officer Laura Lechuga. She's here? Oh, hell, have her come up. What the heck? Officer Maxwell Turner. Okay, you can't. I was told you can't. Sorry. Okay, no problem. I understand. Yes. He's good? Sure. All right, squeeze on in, guys. Okay, so proclamation, City of Glendale, whereas human trafficking is a public health issue and crime that exploits the most vulnerable among us and weakens the health and well-being of individuals, families, and communities across generations. And whereas an estimated 40.3 million people are subjected to human trafficking globally, including cases of human trafficking reported in every U.S. state and territory. And whereas 51.6% of human trafficking active cases in the United States involve children. And whereas the state of Arizona ranks 13th in the nation in prevalence of human trafficking, whereas trafficking can happen to anyone, but certain populations are disproportionately at risk, including people affected by abuse, violence, poverty, unstable living situations, social disconnection, or discrimination. And whereas human trafficking can be prevented by building individual, community, and societal, can't pronounce that word, close, understanding, reducing social inequities, and addressing the conditions that contribute to the exploitation. Whereas Glendale joins with others across the state of Arizona and nationwide in supporting human trafficking victims and survivors, the advocates and organizations who serve them, and holding offenders accountable in the city of Glendale. And whereas each year January provides an opportunity to enhance human trafficking awareness, now therefore I, Jerry P. Wires, Mayor of the City of Glendale, Arizona, on behalf of the City Council, do hereby proclaim the month of January 2025 as Human Trafficking Prevention Month. And we call upon citizens of Glendale to increase their understanding of human trafficking and support the efforts of frontline organizations or law enforcement in their battle against human trafficking. That was signed by our clerk, myself. I'm giving this to who? To you.
Thank you, sir.
I'll give that to you. Would you like to say something?
I'll just say something quick.
Okay,
and
here's a mic right here.
we appreciate everybody's support here. Human trafficking has become quite a nemesis here in Arizona. We are a border state, so it does happen quite a bit. I took over this unit back in July, and it has been eye-opening since I've been here. Our detectives, who I didn't have them come up just because we do a lot of undercover ops, we just don't want their faces to be seen. They talk to a lot of child predators. We're going to continue to do the work, continue to put forth the effort, and with the support for you guys, we really appreciate it.
Thank you. And then
my name is Scott September. I'm with notinOurCity.org, and I just want to thank Mayor, Council, especially Councilmember Molnar, and the detective here and his team for doing the job that they're doing to end this and to shine a light into these dark corners of our communities and to put an end to this. We're very pleased that Glendale, for again another year in a row, is making this proclamations. And proclamations are very important because proclamations tell everybody who you are and what you stand for. So I want to thank you again, Mayor.
okay. Consent agenda. We'll now move on to the consent agenda items 6 through 12 and 14 through 24. Items on the consent agenda, they're of routine nature or have been previously studied by the City Council at a workshop session. Now, the items are intended to be acted upon in one motion by this council. Have we any speaker cards for any of them? Okay. So may I get a motion to approve consent agenda items 6 through 12 and 14 through 24?
Mayor, I move we approve consent agenda items 6 through 12 and then 14 through 25.
Second.
Okay. So you've heard the motion. We have a second to approve consent agenda items 6 through 25. All those in favor, we're not doing, okay. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Here's the ayes have it, do have it, that passes. Moving on to consent resolutions. Councilmember Conscious has requested that item number 26, resolution R25-01 be pulled for discussion. He just, is this something you're just looking to hear an explanation on?
I would like to make some comments on it and discuss it.
Okay, okay. So Ms. Bauer, would you read consent resolutions item 27 through 32 by number title? We'll do that and then we'll come back to 26.
Item 27, resolution number R25-02, a resolution of the Council of the City of Glendale, Maricopa County, Arizona, authorizing and directing the entering into of a local consent agreement, DHS 24 GPD 1370099, with the Arizona Department of Homeland Security, and authorizing receipt of services and related activities in lieu of funds from the state and local cybersecurity grant program. Item 28, resolution number R25-03, a resolution of the Council of the City of Glendale, Maricopa County, Arizona, authorizing the renaming of New World Park located at 48th Drive and Golden Lane to Al McCoy Memorial Park, and to name the basketball court at that park as Shazam Court. Item 29, resolution number R25-04, a resolution of the Council of the City of Glendale, Maricopa County, Arizona, authorizing the entering into of a grant agreement number 15 PBJA 24 GG05189 JAGX with the United States Department of Justice, Office of Justice Programs, and authorizing the acceptance and expenditure of the Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant Program Award in the approximate amount of $83,378 to support a broad range of activities to prevent and control crime. Item 30, resolution number R25-05, a resolution of the Council of the City of Glendale, Maricopa County, Arizona, authorizing and directing the entering into of an amendment to a memorandum of understanding between the United States Department of Justice, Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, and the Glendale Police Department for participation in the E-Trace internet-based tracing application. Item 31, resolution number R25-06, a resolution of the Council of the City of Glendale, Maricopa County, Arizona, approving the Glendale Transit Title VI Implementation Plan. Item 32, resolution number R25-07, a resolution of the Council of the City of Glendale, Maricopa County, Arizona, authorizing and directing the entering into of an intergovernmental agreement with the City of Phoenix for the installation, operation, and maintenance of a hawk signal at Ocotillo Road and 43rd Avenue in the City of Phoenix. And that concludes the consent resolutions.
All right, thank you. Any speaker cards on any of those items?
No, sir.
Okay, may I have a motion to approve consent resolutions item 27 through 32?
Mayor, I move that the council approve consent resolutions 27 through 32.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion from Councilmember Conscious, a second from Councilmember Turner to approve the consent resolutions item 27 through 32. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Your guys have it. They do have it, so ordered. We'll go back to item 26, please.
Resolution number R25-01, a resolution of Council of the City of Glendale, Maricopa County, Arizona, adjusting solid waste fees pursuant to Glendale City Code and setting forth effective dates.
Okay.
Is this time for my comments,
It is.
Mayor? Okay. So this impact on the Cactus District residents for solid waste increase rates, many families are already facing financial challenges due to rising costs and housing, utilities, and other essentials, and a solid waste rate increase will disproportionately impact low-income and fixed-income households, particularly seniors who are on fixed incomes. And the timing of this increase is particularly concerning, given broader economic pressures, making it harder for residents to absorb additional expenses. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay. Any other comments? Hearing none, can I get a motion for item 26?
Mayor, I move that the council approve resolution number R25-01.
Second.
A motion from Councilmember Conscious, a second from the Vice Mayor, for item number 26. Any discussion? Hearing none. Roll call vote. Councilmember Baldenegro, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Conscious, how do you vote?
No.
Councilmember Guzman, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Melner, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Turner, how do you vote?
Aye.
Vice Mayor, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, the motion carries. Moving on to ordinances. Ms. Bauer, would you please read item 33 by title?
Ordinance number O25-01, an ordinance of the Council of the City of Glendale, Maricopa County, Arizona, amending the Glendale City Code, Chapter 25, nuisances, and setting forth an effective date.
Mayor, members of the council, here to provide staff report this evening is Deputy City Manager Rick St. John.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is a request for council to adopt an ordinance amending Chapter 25, our nuisance chapter of the Glendale City Code, specifically Section 25-90, which is our urban camping ordinance. And for anybody who would like to know more about the amendments, we had a broad discussion this afternoon in our workshop about all those amendments. But to kind of sum it up, we're adding a definition for, or changing the definition of camp or camping, adding a definition for camping paraphernalia, revising some of the language to make it more clear about what's legal and what's not allowed within the ordinance. And most specifically, we're eliminating the provision that says an officer has to demonstrate that we have available bed space before making an arrest. Before I open for any comments you may have, I want to let you know that I spoke with Kimberly Hall, our Director of Community Services, and learned that we do still pay CAS under our Master Services Agreement for available bed space at the Human Services Campus, and that will not change, even with this ordinance if it passes tonight. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from the council?
Mayor?
Yes.
So, thank you, Mayor. So, Mr. St. John, we're still reserving, I think it was 5 beds every night till 5 p.m. Is that?
Mayor, Vice Mayor, I don't know the exact parameters.
But the practice hasn't changed from what we were doing before?
Mayor, Vice Mayor, that's my understanding,
Okay,
yes.
thank you.
Okay, Rick, I guess stand aside. Rory Gorey would like to speak. Goray.
Mr. Mayor, Council, Rory Gorey, Ocotillo District. Not here tonight to speak in favor or against. I just wanted to remind us that going forward, we still need to be compassionate. These people out on the streets need our help. And we have right here in Glendale, we have one of the greatest champions of all people, Senator Ortiz. And I encourage our council to work with her to come up with answers for the homeless at the state level. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I have no other speaker cards on that item. With that said, can I get a motion?
Mayor, I move we pass and adopt ordinance 025-01 and waive reading beyond the title.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Turner, second from the Vice Mayor to approve the recommended action. Roll call vote, starting with Councilmember Baldenegro. How do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Conscious, how do you vote?
Aye. May I explain my vote?
You may.
I originally was opposed to this because of the criminalization of poverty and homelessness, but after reviewing it, and thank you, Mr. Rick St. John, for thorough conversations about this ordinance. The offense was lowered from a first-degree misdemeanor to a third-degree misdemeanor, and also we did talk about the bed space as well, and I believe that the Cactus District residents would want me to vote for this. Thank you. I vote yes.
Thank you. Councilmember Guzman, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Melner, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Turner, how do you vote?
Aye.
Vice Mayor, how do you vote?
Mayor, I'd like to explain my vote
Go
if
ahead.
I could quickly. I don't know that all the residents are aware, but there was a proposition passed last legislative session, Prop 312, I believe it was, which can hold cities responsible, businesses, property owners can hold cities responsible for nuisances created by urban camping. And that's one of the reasons you see cities around the valley adopting this policy, is because we could be held financially responsible. I'm not exactly sure of the mechanics, something to do with property tax. I haven't divin into it, but that's the reason you're seeing this happening around the valley, is that there literally are real financial consequences that cities could have for urban camping. So with that, I vote nay, Mayor.
You vote nay?
I vote aye, sorry.
Thank you. I'm gonna,
You can
okay.
vote nay if you want.
Okay, and then I would like to explain my vote by expanding on what the Vice Mayor just said. This city has really, truly tried to do the right thing by its citizens and the people that are less fortunate. We're not responding today because we're being forced into a corner. We've been working on a lot of this stuff for years, and I think the senator is very well aware of a lot of the things that Glendale has done that other cities are now starting to copy what we've been doing. So I do support this. We have opportunities, as you heard earlier, money and rooms that we try to set aside to take care of those people, plus the fact that we have a lot of folks in Glendale, different organizations that try to take care of the people that are in trouble. So I'm definitely going to support this. I don't think that we have a big issue with people getting in trouble, because I think that our law enforcement does a great job of trying to make sure that they get what they need, and that's shelter. So with that, I do support it, and it does pass. Moving on to resolutions, Ms. Bauer, 35.
Resolution number R 25-08, a resolution of the Council of the City of Glendale, Maricopa County, Arizona, ordering and calling a special election to be held on May 20, 2025, in and for the City of Glendale, Arizona, and designating the purposes for said election, providing the issuance of a publicity pamphlet, providing the deadline for filing arguments for and against ballot measures, providing the deadline for voter registration, providing the times for mailing of ballots, authorizing a contract for county administration of the election and election expenditures, providing for the canvassing of election results, providing the deadline for the mail ballot election report to the legislature, and authorizing the city clerk to take all necessary action to facilitate the election. Mayor and Council, this is a request for City Council to adopt the resolution ordering and calling for a special mail ballot election to be held on May 20th, 2025. On December 20, 2024, Worker Power PAC filed 2 referendum petitions to refer the adoption of resolution number R 24-131 and ordinance number O 24-46 to Glendale voters. The petitions were found to have a sufficient number of valid signatures to place the questions on the ballot at the May 20th, 2025 election. It will be a special mail ballot election. Ballots will be mailed to each registered voter on Wednesday, April 23rd, 2025. And the city is also required by statute to mail a publicity pamphlet with information about the election to every household containing a registered voter. Arguments supporting or opposing the ballot measures must be filed electronically by email with the city clerk's office by 5 p.m. on February 19th, 2025. If there are any questions, that concludes my presentation.
Any questions from the council? None? Okay. Okay. Can I get a motion?
Mayor, I move to approve resolution number R25-08.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Hearing no discussion, roll call vote. Councilmember Baldenegro, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Conchas, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Guzman, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Melner, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Turner, how do you vote?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Tomachoff, how do you vote?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. That passes. Now moving on to new business item number 36 by title.
Review and consider amendment number 2 to the standard form of agreement between the owner and design professional construction manager at risk with Holly Street Studio LLC for the downtown campus reinvestment project.
Mayor, members of the council, here to provide staff report on the next 2 items is Director of Engineering, Don Bessler.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Phelps, Mayor, council members. I'm here tonight, as the city manager indicated, on 2 items. As you know, these 2 items had to do with the Velma Teague Library. The first one, item 36, related to the design contract with Holly Street Studio in order to facilitate work with the Velma Teague Library and the relocation. The second contract, and I'll repeat that when it's appropriate, but it has to do with Oakland Construction, and similarly for the Velma Teague Library, for moving the library to the Promenade Building. We're here tonight to take any additional comments, direction, anything else that the mayor and council would like to provide us.
Mayor,
Go ahead.
if I may. As many of you know, I've been a supporter of bringing a state-of-the-art library to downtown Glendale. And I've had multiple conversations with business owners, members, residents, both for and against it. This has a special place in my heart because of my experience with Valentine Library from when I was a kid to currently when my friends and neighbors use it currently. At the time, I felt there was an opportunity to move the library to the promenade because of the timing of the reconstruction of the city hall, city council, all the chambers and everything like that. My almost 20 years experience with the elementary school district in the maintenance department, I understand timing, I understand scheduling, I understand public money, I understand sometimes you get an opportunity and the window's very small for you to act on something. I also understand that when I was appointed as a city council member, I need to be very aware and listening to everybody. There was one person in particular that really reached out to me on several occasions and spoke with me probably about 3 or 4 times and said to me face to face, I don't like what you're doing. I do not agree with you. I am mad at what you're doing, but I still love you. And those conversations really sank in for me because someone who is opposed to what we were doing or what I was voting for was showing compassion and showing me some courtesy with the kindness of their words. I think I heard it when I needed to hear it, as I needed to hear it. And thank you, Martha Dennis, for saying those things when you did. With that, I also understand that this issue is creating divisions within the community, and we already have enough of that, and I don't want to contribute to more. I would like to invite the council members to support me as I make a motion to end any and all research work looking into this, moving the library to the promenade. And I also, Mayor, would like to make a motion that we instruct the city manager to not enter into the amendment number 2 as detailed in item number 36. And I will be making a similar motion for item number 37.
Mayor?
Yes.
Have we finished the discussion?
Well, I have a motion on the floor right now.
Well, I had the motion here, but
Was that motion in proper form?
In terms of, so you have before you amendment number 2. If you were wanting to consider amendment number 2, as stated, with the exclusion of all work related to the library, I think that was sufficient. So long as the council understands, your act tonight will be doing just that. Is you'll effectively be adopting an amendment to the standard professional agreement that will no longer have any work towards the library.
Mayor, may I have a point of order, please? I want to understand how this transpired, though, because I was told that this was a reconsideration, and I don't know that we have a policy where one person can get something posted on. I just want to know what was the process to get us here. I want to understand that process, because we have Mr. Turner. That's what's confusing for me, is Councilmember Turner has a council item of special interest on the Velmateague Library. Is that's never been brought back, but is that what this is? Because I was told by the city manager that one council member asked for reconsideration, but then we were told that the because this isn't even the same body that adopted that to move forward with demolition of the library. It was discussed 3 different times. So I'm just curious, how did we get here? Can you explain that to me before I vote?
Mayor and Vice Mayor, I don't know, when you say how do we get here, I don't know, but let me explain what I do know. Is that the agreements, the original agreements that we're talking about, and these are the form agreements that we utilized in the city of Glendale with regards to construction and construction manager at risk contracts, are drafted in such a manner as that during the pendency of those contracts, if the council or the city wants to expand the scope of work, we can at any time expand the scope of work. Also at any time, we can also minimize the scope of work. So for example, the hypothetical, we could choose to, I'm afraid to use a hypothetical because somebody will believe that it's a real situation, but we could build a really big project, and then we could say, well, we want it even bigger, but before we make it bigger, we choose, no, we actually want to make it just go back to the big project. And in situations like that, to the extent that the construction manager at risk or the contractor have performed work, we would have to compensate them for that change in scope because we're decreasing the scope and they would have otherwise relied on that. To the extent they have not performed work, which is my understanding in this case, is to the extent that we are actually minimizing the scope of what has already been approved, is that there would be no cost or charge to us. And if so, it would be very minimal because no work or the work that's been done is very minimized. So in terms of what's before you this evening, it's not a reconsideration. What it is it's to seek direction from the council that based on the scope that was approved in December, there are new council members that are on the council, and if they would like to provide feedback, and also if the continuing council members want to provide feedback to staff, to direct them to amend the agreement, which would most likely be in amendment number 3, I believe, where amendment number 3 will be brought back to the council for approval that does not have the library in it. And that would be not only for this item number 36, but item number 37.
Let me explain what my concern is. Maybe I wasn't clear what my concern is. My concern is, are we establishing a precedent where a single council member can get an item brought back to the council? Because that's what it appears to me. So I just want to, I mean, I feel like that is a little bit of a dangerous precedent to set. So I just want to understand is that that's what I understand how this came to be. And are we establishing that precedent now where any single council member can get something put back on the agenda and brought back in front of the council by just saying, I want to bring this back because I want to change my vote?
Mayor, Vice Mayor, I wasn't part of that process, so I can't comment as to that process.
Okay. I feel like that we as a body have a right to understand what precedent we're establishing here, and I'm a little concerned about it.
Mayor, members of the council.
Mayor?
Yeah, hold on, Ray.
So let me provide you, I think, an answer you're looking for. My office received a request from the mayor to put these 2 items on the agenda. It came from the mayor's office, which he has the authorization to do. Our staff prepared the appropriate documentation, noticed it, and it's on for tonight's meeting. So it was a request from the mayor's office to my office that was received.
That's not what you told me. You told me it was a request for a reconsideration.
Vice Mayor, again, I'm telling you what the process was. I received, there'd been discussion about what things might or might not be happening. No action was being taken until we received formal request from the mayor's office to put both of these items on. It was then and only then did we, start agendizing and doing the things necessary to bring it in front of this body for consideration.
So you're telling me and assuring me that we are not establishing a precedent where a single council member is able to bring something back in front of the body? And that means because a reconsideration is a motion and that has to pass. I mean, reconsideration is not just a one person going to somebody saying, bring it back. That's not how they work. So I just want to make sure that we're not establishing a precedent that's going to come back to haunt us in the future. That's all I'm trying to do. So
Mayor,
you're saying that that's not what happened?
Mayor, Vice Mayor, that is not what happened. What happened was a request which, through the reading of the administrative and charter and ordinances, the mayor has the ability to put something directly on to an agenda, or 3 council members can. So my office received a written request from the mayor's office to put this on the agenda, and that was the process.
Okay, it would be helpful to have that in the staff report. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Mellner, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify one thing regarding this issue, that a council member my understanding under parliamentary procedure, can request something be reconsidered if they were in the voting in the winning side of the vote, and they can ask it to be reconsidered. That apparently is not what happened here, but basically, when you say setting a precedent, that's already out there, and that can be done by a single council member can always ask for reconsideration. And that's part of parliamentary procedure.
That's a
So
motion.
to answer that question, I hope that clarifies.
And that's correct if they had voted previously on prevailing side.
Mayor, if I can clarify that, so everybody's clear on that,
Go ahead.
is that a motion under first and foremost, the city council is not bound to the Robert's Rules of Order, and we do not have a rule regarding reconsideration per se, so we will look to Robert's Rules of Order. Robert's Rules of Order provides that reconsideration is available during the same meeting or the same session. So, for example, it's real easy for a legislature who's in session for 60 days, 45 days after an act takes place, that they can say, hey, I'd like to reconsider that because they are still in session. Once you gavel the meeting, we are no longer in the same meeting and we are no longer in the same session. So if you want to reconsider an item, it has to be in the same meeting. So once the meeting
That's not exactly correct. That's not correct because Robert's Rules has other language in their rule book that says it doesn't have to be in the same session. So we need to go. I don't want to state that as a perfect fact until we get it researched a little further.
Okay.
Can I ask that? Isn't a reconsideration a motion, Mr. Bailey?
Mayor and Vice Mayor, yes, a reconsideration is technically, it's once the member has the floor, they can make a procedural motion to bring an item back to the floor. It's not same as tabling an item and taking it from the table. It's actually reconsidering an already adopted motion. It must be done by a member on the prevailing side. And then once it's brought back with a vote, then it can be reconsidered at that time, and then another vote would be taken.
Right, so there has to be a motion, a second, and then a prevailing vote to get a reconsideration. Okay, thank you.
Mayor,
Well,
over here.
oh, go ahead.
So the manager says that he's responding to a written request he got from the mayor's office. I'm curious as to what was the procedure, what were the set of circumstances that caused you to make that request?
Well, kind of like everybody else in here, listening to all the conversations, listening to the people in the audience, hearing people that were concerned. I had voted. I still think that the way I personally voted was fine. But, you know, we represent 260,000 people. We don't just represent ourselves or just a few people. So, to me, the council member in his district was concerned about it, wanted to know, could we bring it back? And bottom line, it gives everybody on this council a chance to either support it or deny it. If you deny it, it goes back to what we did before. If you support it, then it goes away. So that's really what the question is do you support it or do you deny it?
So Mayor, if I could, I mean, I've heard things through the grapevine, as apparently others have too, and I've heard that there were more discussions about this than simply what you've said, that it occurred to you that you wanted to do this. It's my understanding there were discussions with the city manager and more than one council member, perhaps all together, and though I was on the losing side, and I'm happy to have it come back, I'm happy to have a chance to change the decision that the council made. I'm also concerned about the process that we're using and that the process is transparent and that it's consistent and that it complies with our charter and with our code of conduct and procedures, one of which is sharing information with all of us and not that information is kept only between certain council members. So it doesn't, sitting here today, at this moment, I don't really feel like I don't want to say the straight answers about this, but I don't think I know the full answer to how we got here today. and I want to remind the council that those of us back on January 10th, when these amendments were approved, there were council members who said we should wait until the new council is seated. They're the ones that are going to have to deal with this going forward, and they should have a voice in it. And that we were ignored at the time, and now we find ourselves right back where we said we should be. I have a council item of special interest that should be coming forward for us to take back into consideration what was presented to the council on January 10th, and so that we can follow what was standard operating procedure at that time and go forward from there. So I guess part of what I'm trying to say is that if the public's confused about how we got here, you're not alone.
Mayor, if I may.
Who said that?
I did. So Councilman Turner and I and Councilmember Conchas and I had conversations about the library. And this was back, I believe, in December, roughly. I don't remember exactly when. And then we had time off, and I as I had time to think, I apologize to the council and the mayor and city manager, Mr. Bailey, the vice mayor, if I am breaking protocol. I apologize for not, if I'm doing this incorrectly. I thought I could do what I said and what I did because I'd like to change my vote. I'd like to keep things as is so we can have further discussion as we had talked about before. I was under the impression I could say it like this, and if I am breaking protocol or something, I apologize. I'm not trying to insult anybody, but like I said, when I spoke with Martha Dennis, and her words just really stuck with me, and I didn't know how to proceed, and I was under the impression that I could say something here and now to do this. If I am incorrect, I apologize. And I don't know what to say at that.
Okay.
Mayor, may I? No need to apologize, Councilmember Baldonegro, but it does confirm that one council member was able to get this back on with the mayor's help to get it back on the agenda. But there's no need to apologize.
Okay, we do have a motion on the floor. Has he got a second?
Do we have a second?
What? Can you repeat the motion?
The motion was so that we can instruct the city manager to not enter into amendment number 2 as detailed in item number 36. That's the motion.
Mayor and council, the suggested motion I would make would be to move to direct the city manager to enter into an amendment 3 for the respective contracts that excludes any reference to activity construction regarding the Velma Teague Library.
Do I need to repeat that?
No, you can just say as stated by the...
As stated by the city attorney.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Okay.
Mayor, to be clear, though, we don't have an amendment 3 in front of us, do we?
You do, Mayor.
Mayor and council, you have amendment number 2, and what's before you. That's what you have before you is what the contract currently looks like. You're directing the city manager to go in and remove all references to remove the scope that's applicable to the library. And after we do that, we would bring it back to you, and it would become the public document upon which we'd be relying on in amendment 3.
Okay, so we're instructing the city manager to remove all references to the Velma Teague Library from amendment number 2. And then we're going to then call that amendment number 3. Will we need to approve amendment number 3 in the future, or is that what we're doing here?
You are directing the city manager to enter into an amendment number 3 that does not include the library in the scope. So by the direction that you're providing, it's a mandatory requirement that he go and enter into that agreement without that scope. And that will then become the document that controls the relationship with the construction manager at risk and the contractor.
And we are directing the manager then to
To do
execute,
that.
to
Yes.
execute amendment number 3.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Mayor, I have a
Question?
question. I just want to be clear on what's going on.
We all do.
We are no longer doing the demolition of the Velma Teague Library. Is that what's happening here?
At this point in time.
At this point in time, we're going to bring back the issue so that we can all talk about it, discuss it. The public will be able to discuss it, bring comments. Is that what's happening?
Basically, it's putting everything back before we ever talked about tearing down Velma Teague and moving it.
Okay, thank you.
That's in essence what we're doing.
Mayor,
Okay.
may I then, so is it coming back as Councilmember Turner's council item of special interest? Because that's part of the confusing part, is that we have a council item of special interest about this. So is that how it's coming back?
That council item of special interest doesn't go away unless he decides that there's no reason for it and he withdraws it.
Right, but I mean, it's coming back to us, so it's in the queue to come back to the council.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the council, let's go back to the Holly Street authorization back in December. In there, the majority of that work was related to the Velma Teague Library. There was a small element that had nothing to do with the library, but was additional services that we needed from Holly Street as part of the DCRP. How we would interpret the council's action tonight, if in the affirmative, was that we will take out all scope of the Velma Teague Library. We will then have to bring back a modified contract, which only has a very small amount of additional scope that we need for the DCRP, and we will bring that back to the council for approval. But your action tonight would essentially tell us to reduce all scope out of the contract and rewrite and amend the contract that was approved back on December 10th.
I'm comfortable with that.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
And Mayor, if I could just say one of the only, because Councilmember Turner did bring up the council item of special interest. Our staff is still working on that because what you wanted to look at, I believe, was what are all the options around the library. This action doesn't mean that a library can't be redeveloped in the existing location, built on a new location, or moved somewhere else. So we're still going to work with your office, Councilmember Turner, to come back and schedule a workshop to explore the different options that are there. This just stops the formal process of having design work done and pre-construction services done on the library as it would have been setting in the Palmer site.
Okay, I'm not sure that that's germane to the motion at hand, but I think it's good to hear that, yes, my council item of special interest is still alive and in the queue and will be coming back to us, and it will include, in essence, the same presentation that was made previously and the options that were presented therein. And then if the council chooses to move forward with any of those options or none of those options or creates new options, then we have that option. Thank you.
Okay, before I take a vote, Rory, I wanted to speak on this item. Okay, so you're waving off, okay. Okay, so with that, any other discussion?
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I would like to thank everyone involved. I'd like to thank the city manager and Councilmember Baldenegro for bringing this to the council. I think this shows that when we listen to our community, that we make good policy and good decisions. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to conduct a roll call vote. Councilmember Baldenegro, how do you vote?
And I'm voting, I apologize for all the confusion. I'm voting to the motion
The
as
motion that
stated
you
by
made.
the city attorney to remove it. Yes. Is that correct?
Michael, he's looking at you.
An affirmative vote directs the city manager to take the action that I referenced in the motion. So,
Thank you.
Okay, so you vote how?
Aye.
Councilmember Conchas, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Guzman, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Melner, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Turner, how do you vote?
Aye.
Vice Mayor, how do you vote?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Item number 37.
Review and consider the amended construction manager at risk agreement pre-construction services with Oakland Construction Company, Inc. for the downtown campus reinvestment project.
Mayor, I'm not going to repeat all of that, but I do want to take the moment to say I'm the one that wrote both of these staff reports, and to the extent there wasn't a reference to the mayor's office asking for this, I apologize for that. Thank you.
Okay. So, city attorney, explain what everybody's voting on this one, just so there's no confusion.
Mayor and council, first and foremost, Oakland Construction is the construction company for the downtown revitalization project, and the amendment 2 included an expansion of scope to include the Velma Teague Library. The motion if you want to remove the scope or decrease the scope and remove the library from the scope would be a motion to direct the city manager to enter into Amendment 3, to enter into and execute Amendment 3 to the construction manager at risk agreement with Oakland Construction that removes the work related to the Velma Teague Library.
As stated?
As stated.
Mayor, just a point of order, not a point of order, but a point of clarification. I'm not sure it's exactly Amendment 3 because we've had several GMPs, so I think it would be clear if we just said to amend the contract to remove the scope and not refer specifically to Amendment 3 or 2. Either way, however the city attorney stated it, from staff's perspective, we understand what the direction is. It would be to make sure that the contract does not include the scope. I just don't want to later find out that I allowed you to use the term Amendment 2 when it might have not been that, because we've had, if you recall, we've come back to you several times with GMPs.
Well, that's, look and see. if he
I
wants to-
will restate it, and as the case with an interpreter, I need to make sure that both sides who I'm interpreting for understands what's going to occur. So thank you, Mr. Bessler. The move would be to move to direct the city manager to enter into an amendment to the construction manager at risk agreement that decreases the scope of the project and eliminates any references to the Velma Teague Library.
As stated.
Okay. Now, is there a second on that particular one? We didn't get a second
I
on
second.
the first one. Do I have to have him remove his first motion? No.
Just
Okay.
keep going.
So can I get a second on
I
his?
second.
If you
We have a-
understand what you're doing.
I second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
We already got an expert on.
Okay, so an I vote will remove. Okay. Roll call vote. Councilmember Baldenegro, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Conchas, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Guzman, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Melner, how do you vote?
I'd like to explain my vote, Mayor.
Go ahead.
First, I just want to thank Councilmember Baldenegro. This was an unusual situation for him, and what I heard him say tonight struck me as very sincere and trying to do what he feels is absolutely the best thing for his district. And that is why I'm supporting him in this. I still believe my vote was appropriate as far as the library is concerned. There were some good things and some bad things. There were a lot of sentimental reasons why people didn't want to move the library, but economically and the best service for the community, I thought, was the vote that I took, and that's why I voted the way I did. But with this new information and with Mr. Baldenegro now wanting to change that for the reasons that he stated, I also will support him in that, and I vote aye.
Thank you. Mr. Turner,
I'd like to explain my vote.
go ahead.
Nah, just kidding. I vote aye.
Vice Mayor.
Aye.
Chairman votes aye. Moving on to council comments and suggestions. Councilmember Baldenegro, have you any?
First, I'd like to apologize for all this. I had the right intentions. This got mixed up. I apologize. I welcome the input from our senior council members to help me in the future on something to this effect, I apologize. And again, I'd just like to thank Martha Dennis, like I said, she for saying how I needed to hear it, when I needed to hear it on several occasions. And I love you too, Martha Dennis. Thank you.
Councilmember Conscious?
Yes, Mayor, are you able to hear me?
Can hear you good now.
Good evening, everyone. I'm excited to invite you to our upcoming Cactus District Town Hall, which I'm proud to co-host with State Senator Annalise Ortiz. This event will take place on Thursday, January 23rd from 5 to 7 p.m. at the Glendale Women's Clubhouse. This is open to the public, and it is a nonpartisan event. This is a great opportunity for us to connect, discuss important issues, eat some delicious food, and hear your thoughts on how we can continue to make our community stronger. Your voice matters, and I look forward to hearing from you. This is also part of my initiative to create a Citizens Advisory Council for my district, the Cactus District. Now, I have had the following remarks reviewed by City Attorney. So, good evening, Mayor, Council members, and residents of Glendale. I come before you today deeply shaken by the tragic incident that occurred last Wednesday at Horizon Park. As a new council member, this is a difficult moment, and it's emotionally challenging for me as a person and as someone who is committed to serving our community. My thoughts are with the families of all those who affected and all those who loved the victims in this tragedy. I'll just go to the end. This incident highlights the need for us to reflect and act. Please, the public's trust must be earned and maintained through honesty, transparency, and a commitment to learning from these difficult moments. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilmember Guzman?
None. No, Mayor.
No comments? Okay. Councilmember Melner?
Nothing tonight, Mayor.
Councilmember Turner?
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to take a moment to speak briefly about the Honorable Elizabeth Finn. Ellie Finn, our former presiding judge of our Glendale City Court, passed away on December 27th at home with her husband Edward and her daughter Sarah after a 2-year battle with cancer. Judge Finn retired in March of 2021. If in fact you consider all the work she did after that date constituting retirement, that's pretty remarkable because she kept busy up until her final days. I believe she'd served as presiding judge here in Glendale for about 20 years. She'd presided, she'd been a judge in the Phoenix Municipal Courts prior to that. She was, in fact, the longest sitting judge in the state of Arizona. She had 58 years of service, 42 of which were as judge. If you think about that, you understand just exactly how remarkable that is. She was a founding member of the chair of the Supreme Court Committee on the Impact of Domestic Violence and the courts. She served as a past chair and member of the Executive Committee for the American Bar Association National Conference of Specialized Court Judges. She was appointed by the Chief Justice as a member of the Supreme Court Committees for Limited Jurisdiction Courts and Mental Health. She implemented many new specialized courts in Glendale that were pilot projects here that became implemented as standard projects and standard courts throughout the state and in other states as well. 2 of those courts included the Domestic Violence Treatment Court here and Domestic Violence Supervised Court. I had the pleasure of working with Judge Finn for 10 years as a council member and her as a presiding judge, and I was thoroughly impressed with her performance on the bench and the way she managed the court, the affection that the court employees, the genuine, sincere affection that the court employees had for her, her technical abilities at managing the many different programs that were necessary to keep the court and therefore justice moving smoothly here in Glendale. I know that she will be missed by the community, and by that I mean a very large community her services were held here on Sunday, here in this building, and with a very stout turnout. And though I know that we will miss her much, that I know that her family, her husband, her 2 daughters, and her extended family will miss her much more and much longer. But I'll just say that Ellie Finn, Judge Finn, was a remarkable woman and a stellar champion of justice. And we've lost a champion there that came from a family of champions, and she'll continue to be missed far longer than I'm sure I will, or many of the rest of us. She was an amazing woman. So thank you for indulging me.
Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. Condolences to the family of Judge Elizabeth Finn. It was a lovely service. I'm glad I made the effort to show up here on Sunday. And I also wanted to thank, I know we had we had a playoff game here in Glendale. Unfortunately, it was not for our home team, but I know we had very short notice, and we had a lot of people on our staff that jumped into quick action and really, really showcased Glendale. I mean, the broadcast multiple times mentioned how welcoming Glendale was, and that, I mean, literally they put that thing together. A playoff game with a lot of people from out of town is a lot more complicated than a general home game where you've got fans that know where to go. So thank you to all the staff that sprung into action, and it was a really good night, I think, for Glendale last night, even though our team wasn't in the game. Thank you.
All right. I have nothing to add at this point. Citizens' comments. Next on the agenda is just that council makes the opportunity available to our citizens to bring information business before this council. It's not on the printed agenda. I have some speaker cards. I'll call your name when you come up. If you'll state your name, the district you live in. If you know it, if you don't know it, just simply your crossroads. I don't need, nor do I even want you to say your address out loud. There's no point in it. Try to keep everybody safe. With that, Rory, you're up. You have 3 minutes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Council Roy Gore, Ocotillo District. I think we all know what's going on with our neighbors over there in California with the devastating fires, and our prayers are with them. But I just wanted to share with you, I think it was a little over a month and a half ago, I went to a chamber event where our very own Fire Chief Freeberg was speaking, and he had a wonderful presentation on what the department does and how they keep our ratings up there, that, you know, for our insurance and all that, and the wonderful job that our fire people do. I think it would be great to have that presentation videotaped like the your presentation, so more citizens can see the work that he and his team are doing to protect us, protect our insurance rates. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Next up is Kim Thomas.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members. I wrote the best speech ever, coming up here going to plead my case about the library. You guys listened. What's wrong with you? You actually listened to us. Thank you, and thank you. You guys have a hard job to do. It's thankless many times. Thank you for listening. That's it. Pardon? Yeah. Oh no, it wasn't. I was full of baloney. Yeah, it was really good. I was just going to say that it's the heart of the city, and we go to knitting there, and we love the people that work there. We love the library. I've gone there the whole time I've lived here. I love it. I love the hometown feeling of it. I love the activities that go on down there. And we were part of the group that went in and gave the advice on some changes that were going to take place. And we went, yes, let's have a little outdoor space for the ladies for their knitting. So ladies and gentlemen, and just to talk about how important it is. And I thought it was a done deal. And there was some really bad communication. We went into a knitting, and the gal that runs the knitting said, it's on hold. Yay. And then you're never really sure what's going on. But as cynical as I want to be, tonight you made me feel good. You listened. And that's, sadly, many times a rare case. So go home, feel good about yourself. You did good. Thank you.
Thank you. Sandra Netkin. Am I pronouncing that right, I hope?
Sorry. Short. Hi, my name's Sandra Netkin. I live in Phoenix, Crossroads 28th and Cactus. I wanted to just make a brief statement about mental health and the local police here in Glendale. I come to Glendale every now and then, whenever I can. I have a daughter, and her father lives here in Glendale. So I come, and, you know, I'm here in Glendale, and I shop and everything and all that. Well, honestly, I've had, you know, some past issues and interactions with police here in Glendale. And I just want to say that I think the department should be improved. I think the service that they provide is just a little, what's the word I'm looking for? Harsh. I've had issues with, you know, people giving me a hard time, that kind of stuff. I reported things. I didn't really want to, because I'm more on the mental health side, you know, and I just feel like they don't really help out, and they're just not, you know, people anyone could go to, especially with the recent incident that happened, makes me feel like it's not, you know, safe to go to them for any help. And I think as a citizen that lives close to Glendale, and when I have a daughter now in Glendale, I think it should be improved, because, you know, with everything going on now, it's just not really, I feel that I'm not safe, and that my daughter won't be safe, and all that. And with the mental health, yeah, I feel like our services in the mental health system here, and in Phoenix too, can also be improved. We need better resources versus putting people on medication immediately, because, you know, we're all people, we're all human, we all make mistakes, and we're all different. I mean, I'm not perfect. I got mental health issues myself, but I'm no better than anyone else. But no one should have to live in fear or be in fear of any services that are supposed to help, especially when that's all we have. So I just want to make that statement, and I hope everything can improve.
Thank you. Pedro Paredes? I probably really butchered that, didn't I?
Yes. Pedro Paredes.
That's what I was trying to say. Yeah. Go ahead, sir.
Audi 24 and chair of Audi 24 Democrats. I am here to deeply concern about the Glendale policing shooting that killed an innocent
go
man.
back. Their district that you live in, or the Crossroads?
Audi 24. I live on 75th Ave.
You live in Phoenix or Glendale?
Phoenix.
Phoenix, okay. Go ahead, sir.
So I'm here to express my deep concerns about the Glendale police shooting and killing an innocent man at the park near 47th Ave in Glendale. The community deserves to feel safe. We need transparency, any camera footage, and any details about the disciplinary process to let us know. We need this city council to speak up for what is right. And we've had many things that have happened with policings, and even myself, I don't feel safe with the policing in Phoenix and Glendale, and we need to work on that. And so I'm just asking for your guys' support on this, and so making sure that we have any footage, anything, that y'all let us know.
Thank you. Lorraine Zomot.
Thank you, Mayor. Lorraine Zomok with the Ocotillo District. While the holidays are several weeks behind us, and we know that because all of the Hallmark Christmas movies have ended, but I didn't want the season to pass without letting you know that my husband Bud and I were business owners in downtown. We own 2 businesses in Catlin Court, and we live just a couple of blocks up. And this year, we felt Glendale truly glittered again. It took many, many months of many employees. We saw them out there morning, noon, and night, and the new company that you hired to put the lights out. The light installation was more beautiful than ever. And for what each of you did to make sure that each one of those millions of lights twinkled, we appreciate you doing that. There's a new event that started as well from Martin Sanchez, a dear friend and a wonderful advocate for downtown Glendale, called the Family Fun Festival and Marketplace, that occurred twice during the Glendale Glitter season, with live music and food trucks and arts and crafts. And what he helped to bring, with the support of the city and our Merchants Association, had literally people dancing in the streets. And I had many people tell me that it felt like the old Glendale Glitters. And for those of us that are a little bit older and been around a while, that sure did feel good. That sure did feel good. And I don't want to leave the podium without saying that we had a really wonderful Saturday. We celebrated 1892 to today with our annual Founders Day, and one of the elements was a historic preservation bus tour that hasn't been around since before COVID. And we had some wonderful tour guides on that bus, including my husband and wonderful Davida Salter, who's a longtime Glendale resident and really knows her stuff. And that just so happened, we had Councilmember Bart Turner, who got to talk about growing up in Glendale. And it turned out to be a four-hour tour, right to the minute. It wasn't like Gilligan's Island, where it landed on for 10 seasons. It really ended up on time. But when I saw the people getting on off the bus, they had the most incredible time learning about the history of our treasured city. And we're already planning next year, and you've already said yes, that you'll be one of the narrators on the bus. So thank you for your support, Councilmember Turner, and thank you again, all of you, for making Glendale Glitters this year. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. There being no further business for the council tonight, I'd like to thank everyone for attending. There's no objection from this council. We're adjourned. Thank you.
Yeah.